Happy holidays to all of you, Merry Christmas, whatever it is. I hope you're all having just a great time with family and friends, or have gotten badass gifts, and just relaxing as we await the new decade. Now, we've been talking a lot about hacks throughout the past week with Fallout 76, but this one particular hack is less invasive, less harmful, and more just revelatory about a certain game you might know as PT and Silent Hills. Basically, there's a man going by the name Lance McDonald who's been playing around with PT, hacking it and modding it essentially, and this is this individual's channel. Check it out. This is their video, and what I'm going to do is play this video and react to aspects of it and show you guys how cool this is. This individual essentially managed to take PT and find a way to break out of that little house and onto the streets of Silent Hill and explore that area. And there's actually a lot of detail there, in large part because the cutscene that is shown at the end of PT that reveals this game is in fact Silent Hills, it's rendered in real time. So Lance McDonald here will explain exactly what he did and what we're actually looking at. So check this out. The following does not represent the creative vision of Kojima Productions. Furthermore, all footage was captured on PlayStation 4 hardware. So yeah, this individual essentially hacked the game on PS4.
At the end of PT, we see our protagonist step out into the streets of Silent Hill in a revelatory cutscene, which is in fact entirely rendered in real time by the PlayStation 4 hardware.
This is all running on the Fox engine, keep that in mind. And there it is. Somehow this dude managed to step out into the streets.
Unfortunately, this area is not meant to be traversed by the player character, and thus it has no collision information, and we immediately fall through the ground. Interestingly, this causes Lisa to appear and reset the game.
Okay. I guess some contingencies were put in place in case the player...
I find it fairly amazing that the developers actually accounted for us finding a way to break out of bounds, and created an event to handle it in such a way, rather than just having us fall endlessly.
Classic Kojima. Attention to detail.
So in order to circumvent this, I patched the game in a way that causes the player character to float.
Oh my god, this is just...
One of the first things we come across here is the trail, which we also saw the protagonist following in the cinematic.
I mean, just seeing this rendered like this, seeing how creepy this whole street looks.
This ends in a small puddle, and the main open streets stretch out ahead of us. To the left is a fairly detailed area outside of a massive apartment building.
It looks like a real game, even in this rough early state.
Up on the highest level of the fire escape, we can even see a potted plant. Looking down from up here helps us really appreciate the amount of detail that went into building the area.
Oh my god.
On the opposite side of the road is a fenced-off parking area with a few cars left unattended.
So right here we start seeing, like, so the boxes aren't quite as detailed because that asset is so far away that you don't really need to fully render it just for cutscene purposes. But I imagine that if the development for this game went along further, all of this stuff would look way more fleshed out, way more detailed. I would have loved... I mean, if this is what this looks like this early in the game's development, it already has an atmosphere, it already looks really creepy. How cool would this have been if it were a completed product?
All throughout, the silhouette of water towers across the rooftops at night communicates Silent Hill's archetypical heavy and oppressive atmosphere.
Oh man. The way this guy presents this is awesome, with the music in the background and just the slow panning of the camera.
Returning to street level, we can continue exploring down the main road.
Kudos to Lance for just doing this.
Clutter lines the streets to make sure every area looks somewhat unique. As is common in Silent Hill, there's a perpetual feeling of the entire world both being under construction and long since abandoned. The street signs, roadblocks, and scaffolding throughout help to create this unwelcoming atmosphere.
Unfortunately, that sense of being under construction is now on a meta level, because this game is never gonna get finished! So obviously, there's pop-in and stuff, but keep in mind, the cutscene area isn't a complete product. It's like way more detailed than it even should be, because, yeah, the camera only shows a very specific part of the Silent Hill town or whatever. But it seems like they just went above and beyond here. Even though they didn't really need to. I guess in case people broke out? Give a good impression when they did? I mean, it was bound to happen at some point, maybe.
Up ahead is a slightly more richly detailed area. Beyond this is some more plant life, from large trees down to tiny plants growing through the gaps in the pavement.
I'm already feeling the vibe of this game, what it could have gone for. And if PT was any indication of what kind of crazy, bizarre, mind-boggling things we could have experienced, I mean, especially with Guillermo del Toro on board, with Junji Ito as an inspiration, and Kojima's crazy mind at play. Kojima really needs to make a horror game next, I hope.
The pavement has a reflective element when the flashlight's beam hits it just right. The layout of each apartment building is somewhat unique as well, with the fire escapes and air conditioners being hand-placed to avoid repetition.
Yeah, look at that.
Coming to the end of the main road brings us to a fence with a tree, power lines, and a car on the opposite side. Crossing the road past this fence, there are simply more apartment buildings with decorative features similar to what we saw earlier.
This just keeps going and going.
Continuing down the road, we come to pass under a large bridge.
Like, well, I didn't even notice this bridge. Can you even see it in the cutscene? Okay, this is super creepy, this little claustrophobic area.
And finally, making our way through here brings us to the end of the area, with nothing further beyond. I found it fairly amazing to have a chance to explore a somewhat entirely new physical space in PT, something handcrafted by the team at Kojima Productions while in-house at Konami as an official part of the mainline Silent Hill series. While there's no way to be sure what the future holds, this may be the final canonical rendition of Silent Hill ever to exist. So I hope you feel that I helped in some way today by giving you a chance to explore along with me.
This was both amazing to see and heart-wrenching to behold. And like he said, it's hard to say if Silent Hill will ever return in a form that people will be satisfied by. Judging by Konami's past releases of franchises that they currently own, it's just been rough tidings. It's been rough for fans of these series, because Konami just doesn't seem to care that much about console releases. They don't really put that much effort into them. Just look at what happened with Metal Gear Survive, what happened with Contra, what happened with Castlevania. All of these different franchises, they have one way or another butchered. And I expect that if they do release another Silent Hill, it's just not going to hold up. And it's certainly not going to live up to the potential that this could have achieved. And if you scroll through the comments here, you can see people expressing a same level of amazement and dread at the lost potential here. This was a game here, it's gone now. Sony definitely should buy the Silent Hill license from Konami so Kojima can do what he wants without any restraint. This area feels eerily abandoned, not in the sense of lacking NPCs or whatever feelings the developers were trying to accomplish, but the sense that it was abandoned by real-life people. It gives it more of a hopeless vibe. Yeah, it feels abandoned both in-game and on a meta level. You know what I mean? It's both a town that's been left behind and a project that's been left behind. And I should also mention that Lance has found out a couple other things through hacks. So, for example, while a lot of people assume that the character in PT, who you play as, is probably Norman Reedus, he found out that this is in fact confirmed by the fact that the character model used for PT is in fact Norman. So he actually shows that right here. And obviously it's not fully animated. It says right here, just to put any uncertainty finally to rest after all this time. Yes, the guy you play as in PT is the same guy we see in the ending cinematic. Not that there was any real doubt, but yeah, it's Norman Reedus the whole time. And then here's one more that's really cool. So Lance McDonald discovered that at one point in PT, Lisa is behind you the entire time. You think that Lisa pops in here and there sporadically, but at one point she's just completely following you and stalking you, and that makes the game even creepier. It reads right here, in PT it's common to hear noises as if Lisa's right behind you, or see weird shadows moving around in front of you, but when you turn around, there's nothing there. I hacked the game to allow the player to see behind them without actually turning around, and boom, Lisa is right there. Constantly. And then there's a video here that he shows. She actually attaches to the player's back as soon as you get the flashlight here. I demonstrate how you can see some strange shadows. I then lock the camera in place and walk forward, showing how she's always there following you. That is very creepy indeed. I guess I never noticed that. Yeah, I mean, I thought the shadows were just, I don't know, an effect of the lighting engine or something. But yeah, I guess you do occasionally see these weird shadows. And when you turn around, that's crazy. Yeah, I did occasionally feel like my eyes were playing tricks on me with, shadows and stuff. Holy crap. So yeah, the camera's locked in place, and then the protagonist is currently walking around, and Lisa's just following. Having that pre-exorcism seizure along the way. And then Lance right here talks about how he has much more to show, and this was back in September. This is way more recent, this video showing Silent Hill, a early rendition of it. But if this is, any indication of Kojima's horror sensibilities, then I think we have some fun things to look forward to should Kojima decide that his next game will be horror. And I really think it should be. I think Kojima would excel. He would kill it if he did like a spiritual successor, or even started from scratch and did his own horror game. Use those crazy ideas to really blow our minds in a supernatural, horrific situation with an atmosphere like this, and I think he'd make a lot of people happy. Let me know in the comments below what you think about what was shown in this video by Lance McDonald, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.